criticizers of the Western foreign policy believe that the ISIS and other Islamic movements are a Frankenstein, a sort of Frankenstein created by the West itself, by its policies, its interference in the Middle East generally, and by financing the Islamist extremists in Syria and in other countries. What is your opinion?
You know, what I think is we should not talk anymore about dragons and demons. I don't think this is time for it. The time for now, we have to deal with the problem. We have a problem now and it's there, and we have to go and deal with it. Without having an international cooperation, we could go and debate it, philosophically, till, the sunset. But I don't think this should be our approach, because the more you talk about it and think, the more things happening, and we lose a lot of people. There is a danger of national, security in many countries. Is threatening millions. So what we have to do about it? Okay, now is a reality. They are there. These people started with some people supporting them financially. But now they have land, they have territory in their hand, there are oil fields in there, they are selling oil. They sell oil so cheap they could finance themselves. They become, as you call it, the word Frankenstein, now they are doing that, but what are you going to do about it? We have to dry their resources, we have to attack them. Well, I mean, as I said, we could talk about a lot of things, but of course, the regimes there, they have themselves, they were not democratically enough. Most of them, they were not even democratically elected. And there were grievances, of course, from people, human rights abuse, undemocratic rule, and we could go, corruptions. I mean, all that we saw, if I call it they call it spring uprising, spring uprisings, which is actually, it wasn't spring uprising, it's worse. It was, I would call it autumn or winter, It's not spring at all, because people thought it will be, but actually it turned out there is people close eyes of these religious groups, and they thought maybe, if you support them and, maybe they will be better, but it's not. So we are talking about a regime in a geographical area who they lack legitimacy, which is it. Iraq was the first country to do it with people like Saddam Hussein, the worst dictator people forget about. We did it. And when the Western tried to help, we got criticized. But don't forget, at least we established first constitution. It was very progressive constitution and kept the country together, still is keeping the country together. What come after that, that's another matter. This is nothing to do with the West or East, or the perception were wrong. Of course, if you talk about the West, if you talk about occupation, if Iraq is right or wrong, I will tell you, no, it was liberation, but they turned it into occupation. That was the biggest mistake ever. If somebody asked me whether the United States made a mistake, that was the mistake from a liberator, he became an occupier. And that is, when you become an occupier, then there is a responsibility. Whatever happened in that country, even if it's not their make, it's very different. We have to be careful to use religions and people who, in the name of religion, doing things. I mean, we have them in America, the KKK and so on. In the name of religion, they used to execute the black people, and that same religion, supposed to be Christian. So it's nothing new in there. But what is new in that is just an excuse, because this is, to me, this kind of view is entail a lot of racism. It's nothing to do with, people believe, it's fine. Not you cannot tell me 1.5 billion Muslim in the world are all terrorists. It's impossible. You cannot, because the most victim of this terrorist Islamic thing, which is, is Muslim themselves, more than anyone else. Immigration, of course, it goes on country to country and on the circumstances. And I can understand the country like Greece is small at the front line. They have to protect themselves. But on the other hand, there are international obligations. What do you do? What's about the human rights you sign? What's about all these treaties we sign international? Are we going to review it? Okay, but how are we going to review it? So it's had a lot of implication. One has to be very careful about it. These kind of calls is calling for tension, for conflict. Before there used to be the conflict of civilization. All to me, in my mind, is actually rubbish. I don't believe there is a civilization conflict. I don't believe in that. This is in the mind of extreme people. And we are going through difficult time, and we should stand up and we say no. Immigration is a right, I think, but it depends from one case to another. I cannot say what Greece has to do, but of course any country has the right to stop people coming illegally there, and they have to put their account, the method they come, and what do you think? A boat full of people left in the middle of the sea, what the poor Greek guard do? Will let them die? His conscience wouldn't let him. I'm sure his government. So this is, I know it's a dilemma. You can't, because he's in the sea, has to save him. He has to bring him to the port and feed them, and because they're a human being. We are a human being after all. But then the rights and things, that's another matter. They have to discuss it, of course. Building wall doesn't help. Actually, it makes worse. It makes the more conflict between the people there. Imagine if you put wall, I don't know how many refugees in this country, 10,000, 20, 50, whatever, you put them on in a geographical or an island, you put wall against them, that's it, you are there. Either you die or you go home. I mean, I don't think somebody with the right mind will do that. But what that going to serve? Nothing. Today I am in trouble, tomorrow you might be in trouble. So what is going to be our human reaction? How is it going to be? So I don't believe in this kind of thing, but of course, migration has to be regulated. There have to be one policy, and also you have to fight who is doing this. There is a mafia there. I'm sorry to say that. The mafia exists in every country. The country they go, there are people receiving them, dealing with them, facilitate for them, and the country they are coming. And migration is not one country's problem. It's an international problem. I could see a lot on the boat, they are from different nations. Why they make them like that? There are many, apart from that, it's normal for people seek to go somewhere, of course, legally, I'm here talking, to seek to make his life better in another country. I mean, if you take this country, Greek, they are known, they immigrated to the more continent and they make their life successful there because they couldn't make it here. So this is a country of receive a lot of migration in the history and facilitate for them. So I think, in my view, we have not to forget the human side in ourselves.